What's good, everybody? It's your boy Rio West. I'd like to welcome you all back to the Rio West Podcast. It's been a minute. I've been on a little brief hiatus. A lot of people have been asking me if I killed off the podcast or if I just quit. I didn't quit. The first week, I didn't drop anything. The first of the 2 weeks that I missed, I didn't drop anything that week because I had a bunch of family obligations going on. And then I was prepared to start up the following week, but then had some personal issues come up. Just wasn't in the mood or in the vibe to be able to present episode to you guys without it seeming like it was forced. So I just took the extra time off to get reset, get back on track before I went ahead and brought y'all some more content. So we here, we back. Also, I'm an affiliate on TikTok now, so that's been another thing that I've been working on behind the scenes, adding things to my showcase room so that people can go and view my showcase room, see some items that I have in my showcase room, and what I have interest in and things that I've purchased and stuff like that. I got some reviews coming soon too, but y'all go check that out. Go check out my showcase on TikTok. You all you got to do is put in Rio West TV if you don't already follow me, and then click on my showcase room and it'll show you. I just got like stuff that I like, anything electronic wise, as far as like got microphones in there, webcams, gimbals, all that stuff that I normally use on a daily or on the regular, especially when I create content. So y'all check that out. Also, y'all go follow me on Twitch. Almost an affiliate. I just got to get my average viewers to 3. So it's coming. But I've been working on a lot behind the scenes. But enough of all that. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into the content. And one topic that I've been wanting to discuss for a while is hip hop. Not necessarily like just hip hop in general, but classic hip hop. I've discussed on previous episodes of like hip hop, how it started, where it came from, where it began, what was the drive behind it, and where it's at now. And I've talked about, how how now it's nowhere near what it used to be as far as the messaging and all of that. But what I specifically want to delve into now is a topic that I've seen multiple people talk about before in the past, and it's, to be quite honest with you, it's rubbed me the wrong way. Um, is people not feeling classic classic boom bap hip hop. Um, people that only rock with trap, people that only rock with down south, people that only rock with a specific aspect of hip hop, but don't rock with the original form. That's never made any sense to me. I never understood that. And me being the person I am, as diverse as I am, as I've said before, I listen to all kinds of hip hop, but not just hip hop. I listen to all kinds of genre of music. The only genres of music I don't listen to is metal and country. Other than that, I listen to alternative, soft rock, jazz, blues. It's just hip hop is my primary go to. And so I listen to all aspects of hip hop. But what I came up on is the original art form of hip hop. So naturally, although the trap drums, the trap beats, they give me hype. You know, although the southern rap has a certain pizzazz to it that I just could. It's just smooth. It's wavy. I could just rock with it. I always go back to the original art form. Even when making music, even when I'm making my music, like I could rap over anything. I've said that before to several people. I could rap over anything. You can give me a rock beat, I'll rap over it. You can give me a boom bap beat, I'll rap over it. You can give me a trap beat, I'll rap over it. You can give me a beat that somebody might feel like deem is garbage, and even I might feel like the beat is lacking, but I'm gonna be able to write to it. That's just how I am. But when I write based off of what that record is speaking to me, what that record is speaking to my soul. So like, I don't go into specific records or whatever, like, this is gonna be the topic, this is what I'm talking about. No, I let the beat play and I vibe to the beat. I vibe to the beat. And whatever that beat speaks to my soul, whatever comes out, whatever you hear on any of my records, that's what that beat brought to me. That's what it told me to put. And naturally, when I'm rapping to a trap beat, the main goal, the main focus, what's drawn up out of me is just like, kill this. Like go heavy with the metaphors, go heavy with the punchlines, go heavy with the schemes. You know, that's what that presents to me. And most of the time when I'm writing those songs, it takes me a little bit longer because I got to be really technical. I get inside my brain, and I won't allow myself to dumb down anything. Everything's got to be super complex. So it takes me a little bit longer to write those songs. But when you present to me a original classic hip hop boom bap soul sample, I could write a verse to that in 15 minutes. Because I don't have to think about nothing. It just flows. My spirit just flows on the track, or flows on the paper, or notepad, whatever it is that I'm writing on. My spirit just flows because that's what that record spoke to me. So majority of my best work is over classic boom bap hip hop. Lo-fi chill vibes. Because when I put those records on, it's easy for me to just let it flow, and then I start thinking about the nostalgia of things in the past, or coming up listening to hip hop, or my life coming up as an adolescent, or through high school, or my younger years in my early 20s or whatever. It's easy for stuff like that to come up, me be able to tell a story or paint a picture on the record, versus me putting on a trap record and just trying to go dumb and focusing on the technical aspect and then the schemes and this and that. That takes me a lot longer. It could take me hour, 2, maybe 3 hours to write that verse. My Sicko Mode freestyle, it took me about 6-7 hours to write that whole 3-minute and change verse. But Foundation, my most recent EP that I dropped, literally took me 2.5 days to write. But that's what those records speak to me. And the same way that I write is the same way that I listen. So when I'm listening, when I'm in the mood to be hyped, like if I'm outside playing ball or if I'm in the gym, yeah, I'm gonna toss on some trap cuts. Most of the time it's not traditional trap. Like traditional trap is like trap beats. Y'all know what y'all listen to. My trap that I listen to is trap beats with technical lyricists rapping over it. But I also throw some of that in there. Not none of the modern, but majority of it is like older trap that I came up on. Where not all of those artists were trying to sound the same. Like 8 Ball and MJG, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, stuff like that. But yeah, when I'm doing things like that, that's what I like to toss on. But just cruising, listen, like to my drives to work, just chilling at the house, doing whatever. Like if I'm cleaning, whatever, I'm throwing on some classic hip hop. The most memorable stuff to me is the classic hip hop. That's what draws me in the most. And I think that's why my opinion on a lot of artists and a lot of these artists' music and their albums is so much different than everybody else. And I think my viewpoint on that has a lot to do with how I was brought up, because I was brought up listening to the jazz, the blues, the funk, Prince, Bootsy Collins, all that. So naturally, Marvin Gaye. Naturally, I have affinity for those sounds and that style of music. And a majority of boom bap, when you think about some of the classic records, some of the classic boom bap records, classic nostalgic hip hop records, are sampled from songs like that. So it's a direct reflection on how I came up, how I listen to music the way I listen to it. So, um, yeah, I'm more drawn to music that's like that, and that's why I think my opinion on, say, Kendrick Lamar, for instance, people think it's been an ongoing thing for years, and even before this Drake Kendrick back and forth, that To Pimp a Butterfly was garbage. But in my opinion, To Pimp a Butterfly is his best project, and that's not disrespecting the rest of his catalog, because I hold Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, Damn to a high regard. But To Pimp a Butterfly is so masterful in its overall essence, sounding wise, beat choice, and the presentation of some of the records. Having Bilal on the record sounding like Prince. And I think that was intentional because, you know, Kendrick was supposed to do a record with Prince before Prince passed. And all of this brings me nostalgia from my childhood and listening to those genres of music. And that was the beauty of To Pimp a Butterfly, was it was art. It was a combination of not just hip hop, like traditional hip hop, but soul, funk, jazz, blues. All of this was incorporated in one. And that is my vibe. And to present it the way he did with the message that he did was outstanding to me. And that's why I hold that album to such a high regard over his other album. And that's not to say anything bad about the other album, but that's my opinion because that's my viewpoint and my ear for music. So when listening to music, and then also the way I came up, again, like I said, I have a natural affinity for the classic boom bap hip hop records. Before anything else, that is what I listened to. Before I started producing my own music, I would tell producers, you give me anything, you give me something with a beautiful sample in it, that classic vibe, you got me all day. I'll be coming back to you every time. Because that's my vibe. That's what I listen to. But I can't understand. I got into this spiel for way too long before getting back on what I originally wanted to state. I can't see how people just, okay, so they don't listen to it, fine. But to completely disrespect it, like, I can't vibe with those sounds or those melodies or those this, and that, that's trash. When you get to labeling classic boom bap hip hop, that classic hip hop, that when you get to labeling classic hip hop, that I can't respect your opinion on music at all whatsoever. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if it wasn't for hip hop, classic hip hop, the original form of hip hop and how it started, there would be no other hip hop. Period. So we want to sit here and degrade the original art form of hip hop, the original soul samples, the original drums, the original melodies, the original styles. We want to sit there and disrespect that like it wasn't the reason for the music you listen to today. If there is no classic hip hop, if there is no boom bap, no lo-fi, there is no trap. There is no southern hip hop. There's none of that. So what are we really talking about here? Exactly how do you listen to music? How did you get into hip hop or the form of hip hop that you listen to? So that, I just can't respect that opinion. I can't respect a person's opinion on hip hop when you're so narrow-minded in your view of the style of hip hop that you listen to that you degrade the original art form. the the reason for the music that you listen to today. But that's my stance. Like again, I won't downgrade or belittle any of the art forms because I love hip hop in general. I love hip hop in general. I listen to all kinds of hip hop. Just like I told you before. I'll go from Lupe Fiasco to listening to Nipsey Hussle to listening to Kid Cudi to listening to UGK. You name it. I'm so diverse with it. And I'll go from listening to that to going to listen to John Mayer. Keeps me grounded. Keeps me grounded. But I feel like a lot of y'all, if that's gonna be your opinion, if that's gonna be your stance, cool. Like if you're only gonna listen to trap, if you're only gonna listen to Southern hip hop, cool. Just don't disrespect where it came from. Just remember that without this, there is no that. And then what are you listening to? But staying on topic with the original art form of hip hop, I like to touch on the art of sampling. And I've always loved a beautifully soul sampled record. I've always loved that. And it wasn't until I got into producing my own music and doing and watching tutorials, studying tutorials and setting up my own templates, and then also at the same time watching documentaries on Jay Dilla, on Ninth Wonder, on DJ Premier, on Pete Rock, and fully understanding the process of sampling and really appreciating the fact that this is really an art. This is really a skill, and it's not easy. It's not easy. Like some of these pages that I follow and keep up with that do these breakdowns of how some of the classic records were sampled. When you see the process and see how people come across these things, it's legitimately mind-boggling and astonishing. But I admire it. And I don't see how you can't admire it. And when I think about that, because I've watched a documentary or so on the sampling history and where it came from and how it's a struggle, and how before, like now, in the day and age that we live in, it's a lot easier for us to sample and get things cleared and, not worry about legalities and stuff like that. But back in the day when it first started to be a big thing, all these people whose music was being sampled, they made a big fuss about it and people was getting sued left and right. A lot of people like Biz Markie really wasn't seeing no money from their hit records because of these things. And it's been a thing even since even since I first got into doing music. When I learned about like the environment of sampling and how people frowned upon it, like they said it's not real music and that's always been a thing for years. Now we're past that now, but it's always been a thing for years that sampling wasn't real music. It wasn't real. But when you study these producers and their process in sampling and how they've come up with these classic records that they've come up with, you gain a whole new appreciation for the art of sampling. Because some of these people get sampling twisted. People think sampling is, I'm going to take this piece of this song and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna loop it and I'm gonna add some drums to it. And that's it. I'm gonna finish off the beat, add some percussions, whatever. And that's a wrap. No. That's not. That's how some producers are. Some producers are lazy enough that that's all they'll do is just take a piece, won't even really change it up much. They'll take a piece, they might pitch it down one semitone or something, pitch it up and loop it, add some drums to it, and there you have your record. That's the lazy way. The complex way is when you're able to take not just a piece of that song, but take the whole song, throw it in a application or plugin, and attach it to your keyboard so that, and then you chop up the samples and pick what you want and have it attached to your keys like you're playing a keyboard, and you're playing it out, and you're testing what goes together, what chops goes together, and you legitimately play these things out of order in different positions. You're changing the tone, you're speeding it up, you're slowing it down, and to be able to not just do that, but have those sounds chopped up. That's one form, to have those samples chopped up. But another form, because I've seen some people do that, they've had like 15, 20 samples from one song chopped up in one beat, out of order, and you'd never know. 0 to 100 is one. That's one. But another method is when, yes, you do take that loop and you chop it up a little bit, not a lot. You chop it up a little bit. Or you might not just chop it up a little bit. You might take that loop and then take another loop and then another loop. And you play those in a certain order. It might not be the same order. It could be the same order. It might be a different order. But you play those in your own created order. You pitch it down or up, and you speed it up or slow it down. But to have the wherewithal to be able to know what song to grab another sample from, like to grab these drums from this one, to grab this sound effect from that song, to grab this sound effect from that song, to know exactly what to grab from all these songs, piece it together, and make one beautiful body of art is mesmerizing. It's beyond art. That's a skill. Who just sits? I've tried. Like, it's hard. Sometimes I come across stuff and it reminds me of something that might go with the sample that I'm sampling. So like, I had an instance, one of the beats that I've made, I was sampling. I had the loop that I chopped up, pitched it down, slowed it down. Actually, no, I pitched it up and slowed it down. And I added some lo-fi background sounds to it, added some drums and everything. Everything was cool. It was sounding good to me. I just felt like it needed like one more thing. And I'm sitting here trying to figure it out, and my sons are in the background. They're playing Fortnite. And if you play Fortnite, you know that if you're in a party with somebody, not in a party with somebody, but if you're in a squad with somebody and they have their mic, anything that they're playing through their mic, you hear. So somebody was playing something. The song was, what they were rapping about was complete garbage. So I was like, man, if y'all don't cut that garbage off, like cut that down. And it was like, we can't cut it down. That's coming through his mic. We can't do nothing about it. But as I'm listening, there's this specific sound in the background that while I was playing my beat, it went. And I was like, hold up. I pulled my phone out, clicked on the Shazam app, Shazammed it, and it popped up. It gave me the song name, and I found a song, I ripped the song, I separated the vocals, took the vocals from it, took the beat out of it, and found that and got down to that specific sound, sampled that sound, threw it over the top, and then literally accented the beat perfectly. And that was one of the few times that I've been able to do that. Because it's hard to be able to listen to a beat and then try to think of, what song has this sound or this. So some of these classic records that were made from like Havoc with Shook Ones, and was the one with Crisscross, Jump. If you look at the way these beats, go look at deconstruction videos of these beats, and go look and see how these beats were put together. It's magnificent. It's a work of art. And I think the art of sampling doesn't get enough appreciation. So that's why I'm gonna continue to be an advocate for it. Every chance that I get, I'm gonna continue to be an advocate for the art of sampling. Every chance I get to show you exactly how creative and how beautiful it was that this record was sampled the way it was. 50 Cent, 21 Questions. Go look at the deconstruction of that one. Masterful. Masterful. It's beautiful. It's an art. It's a skill. Don't ever let anybody tell you sampling isn't real music, because it's more of an art. It's more of a skill, in my opinion, than some of the things than sometimes playing an instrument. Because a lot of times when they put these samples into their plug-in, into their keyboard, and they have to play it, you still have to know how to play that instrument to be able to get the sample to sound the way you want it. It's just now you have the added pressure on you to be able to know the right sounds, know the right part of what song to sample, know exactly how to piece it together versus just playing melodies till you get the right melody. This is multiple layers to this, to the producers that actually sample, not the lazy sample producers. Those, we're not talking about, y'all. That it's easy to cut, copy, paste, duplicate, throw some drums on. That's easy. That's easy. Challenging yourself to be able to completely take multiple parts from a song, break it up into 20 different pieces, figure out what goes together, what's the perfect sound to go together, then figure out another sound to go chop up, put at the right parts in a song, then go try to think of another sound or try out different sounds, put them in there, find the right one, chop it up in the right piece, then start adding your melodies, your drums, your hi-hat and all that. That's more of a skill than just playing the instrument itself, if you ask me, my humble opinion. But who am I, you know? But yeah, so y'all give y'all hats off to producers. Because another thing I'll say before I change topics is that a lot of the classic, and I didn't learn this until I started producing and started watching these tutorials and documentaries and following these pages, is that a lot of the classic hip hop records that I thought was original music is actually sampled. More of hip hop and the history of hip hop and its greatest songs and everything that you would think sounds like somebody originally created the music is sampled. More hip hop than not is sampled. And when you go back and you look and you learn about these certain things, you know. All you got to do is look up the credits. We do a lot of this looking up the credits for like Drake and the writers and stuff like that. But what a majority of people don't know is that when a record's been sampled, if the producer or producers are getting the appropriate credit, you can tell there that a record is sampled. Because when they got all of those writers on there, that doesn't just mean, okay, so one thing people get twisted is that they think just because everybody's name is on that little box as a writer means that they gave the artist input on what to say or gave them a word or whatever. That's not the case. The producer gets writer's credit. If somebody is sampled, whoever was sampled gets writer's credit, and so on and so forth. So that's why there's a majority of those names on that list. And if a song or if the instrumental wasn't constructed strictly solely from like the producer's keyboard or his instruments, and it was sampled, then all of those people that was on the original song, the original producers, the original artists, their names is gonna be down there. They get writer's credit too. So if you curious about any song that you feel like you thought might have been originally created, go just I dare you, go look it up and you'll see in the writer's credits. And then you'll see. But a majority of hip hop, a vast majority of hip hop has been sampled from somewhere. So y'all put some respect on the art of sampling, because it truly is an art, and it's a beautiful art at that. But I want to speak on another topic that I feel like not enough people speak on, but me being in the position that I'm in, I feel like I'm capable enough to speak on it. And that's what to do to be successful in music as an underground artist or as an artist, just a local artist coming up, period. So it's a lot easier in today's day and age to become successful with your craft of music than it was back in the day. Back in the day, there was so many, like, you had to get your local buzz up. You had to shop CDs. You had to pass out mixtapes. If somebody, if A&Rs or whatever was touching down in your state, they wanted to know what was the hottest thing in your state. And if your name wasn't being talked about, then you was in trouble. So there was a lot more work you had to put in versus now, like, it's all on you. Like, you determine if you're successful or if you want to be heard. And it's just certain ways, it's certain avenues that you have to take in order to be able to put yourself out there. First of all, you can't be lazy. You can't be lazy. You can't. One thing when I first started doing music, I thought and felt like my job was to write the music, go record the music. That was it. Maybe pass out a CD or two. That was it. That's what I thought. But that's not the key to being successful. The key to being successful is being more than just a musician. Now, if you're the musician and you have the street team around you to promote you, if you have the videographers to do your videos, if you have all of these assets around you, then by all means, cool. Just write and record your music and let the rest do its part. But if you're serious enough about your music and you don't have access to these, or you can't afford these things, well, then you have to start doing your research and learning to do these things yourself. A majority of the reason of why a lot of underground artists stay underground is because they don't have the drive to push themselves or put themselves out there as they should. Like, I tell you when everything really changed for me. This is right around the time I first got on the scene and I first dropped my very first mixtape, Substance, back in 2011, late 2011. Yeah, it was November 2011. And when I was putting that body of work together, I did my own cover art. But when I did my own cover art, it was just some. It wasn't even like I really did anything special. I didn't even have like a real app. The proportions of the cover art aren't even accurate. I just throw font on it, Substance, whatever. And a lot of people were telling me then, like, you should be on. The way you rap is not like a majority of these other artists rap. You sound completely different. This, and that. And I'm like, yeah. But, they not listening to this, and that. This specific person specifically told me, if people don't want to listen to you, you have to make them listen to you. And that at that point in time, I didn't fully understand or grasp what he meant. But when I put some thought into it, so now I'm thinking like, well, how am I going to make these people listen to me? So then that's when I developed the method that annoyed a lot of people, but actually got me more attention than not. So I might have gotten blocked by some people. I might have gotten unfriended by some people. But I tell you, I've gained way more friends, way more followers doing this process than I did when I wasn't doing anything at all. So my method was whenever I dropped a song, whenever I dropped a music video, I would post it. And when I would post it, I would tag, at that time for me, the limit was 50 people. So I would tag 50 people. So I posted tag 50 people, and I would keep track of the people that I was tagging. Then I would make another post, tag 50 more people. Then I would make another post, tag 50 more people. Then I would give it a break for a day. And then I'd come back the next day and make another post, tag 50 more people. And then another 50 more people. And you get the drift, so on and so forth. Why tag all these people, you say? Why? Because if I'm tagging these people, even if I don't naturally talk to these people every day. If they're tagged, now there's settings, so they can prevent themselves from being tagged, or they can improve it. But when they're tagged, back then, when they're tagged, it goes on their page. So their people, all their friends have to see it. So each one of those 50 people I'm tagging, it's going to their page, and everybody that's friends with them have to see that. So I'm not just reaching out to the people that I'm tagging, I'm reaching out to their people. And a lot of people have friended me and added me and started following me because of that, through that method. I've done that for years and years and years, up until the point that now I don't even really have to do that. Now, when I drop a brand new single or a brand new music video or whatever, I don't even tag 50 people. I tag somewhere between 25 to 40, but the people that I'm tagging are the people that I know die hard, look for my music, and share and support my music. After that, I let the rest do its work because I have a decent enough following that I don't have to sit up there and constantly tag and post anymore. I'll do that, and I have different avenues too. So I do that, and then I post on TikTok. I got 11.3 thousand followers on TikTok. I get my support from there. I get my support from my YouTube following. I post on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. So I have all these different avenues, and my music has been doing really well over the last years. But what people don't understand is this is a lot of hard work and dedication behind the scenes. And that's what I'm telling y'all have to do. So aside from that, I haven't spoken about any of this before, but I'm speaking about it now because I feel like I can't hold everything. Now, I'm not going to say everything, but I'm going to give you a lot of what got me started. Aside from the tagging and posting, I was also joining groups, Spotify groups on Facebook, SoundCloud groups on Facebook, Apple Music groups on Facebook. I'm joining all these groups, and I'm sharing my music in there as well. But not only am I sharing my music in there as well, I'm going to listen to other people's music in there. And if I really actually appreciated their music and supported their music, I was not only letting them know that I appreciated their music and giving them a reason why, and not just acting like I'm just casually trying to win them over, giving them a reason why I appreciated their music. And then I became friends with them. I added them. I became friends with them. And it is because of those different relationships and bonds that I made in these different groups, these SoundCloud groups, that I got all of these friends and supporters from all of these different cities and states across the states, which is part of the reason contributing to my success and the part of the reason why a majority of my listeners are outside of my state. Because I've made these relationships and these bonds outside of my direct friends, my direct city, my direct state. So my success isn't predicated off of locally. Locally, if you ask anybody, there's a few people that say my name, but not everybody that say my name, because I'm not the type of person that pops out. Like, I go to work, I provide for my family, I come home, I do music, everything I do is in my house. You don't really see me like say so like a lot of these other artists. These other artists, they see them, they know them, they grew up with them, they constantly talk to them, they're frequent with them. So naturally, they're going to say the people that they rock with and been knowing and been seeing because they out there. I'm not out there like that. So I had to go get it another way. And I was fully dedicated to that method. And me being dedicated to that method put me in the position that I'm in now. So I did a whole lot of work behind the scenes. And not only did I do a whole lot of work behind the scenes, and did I do a lot of grinding, promoting, but I also learned things along the way. I taught myself things along the way because when you're doing music, certain things get really expensive. Studio time is really expensive. Beats are really expensive. Paying for videos is really expensive. Mixing is really expensive. And if you don't have the funds to pay for these things, then one, you're going to wind up going to somebody whose quality isn't the best because they're cheaper. And you're going to find yourself in a position where you're not giving yourself the best chance to succeed. So what do you do? Well, what I did, because I was driven to do that, and I was also intrigued to do it, was I taught myself how to do editing, graphic and design, till eventually the point where I do my own cover. I do my own flyers. I do all kinds of stuff through Photoshop now. This layout that you see on the screen right now, I did that on Photoshop with the overlay in the background. I picked up video editing. I taught myself how to video edit. I taught myself how to mix. I taught myself how to record myself to get the right sounds. You know, I'm not the best, but guess what? I'm pretty decent. Go listen to my music. You tell me for yourself. But I'm still learning too in the process. And even here recently, I just started teaching myself about 3 years ago how to make beats. You got to be willing to do whatever it takes if you want to be able to put yourself in the best position in music and to succeed in music. Because again, if you don't have the street team, if you don't have the assets available to be able to do these things, do it yourself. And that's what I did. I grinded from day one. I came up with all these ideas and aspects of how I could put myself out there. And I applied myself to learning these different aspects that could help me to where now I'm my own machine. I'm my own business. I don't have to pay nobody. I do it myself. If I need a video, I do it myself. If I need to record, I do it myself. If I need a beat, I do it myself. Promotion, it's me. Graphic and design, cover art, it's me. I've done cover art for other people. Some people's cover art you see out there, you might not even know that I did it. But in the end, if you want to be successful in music as an up-and-coming artist, underground artist, local artist, you got to apply yourself. You got to do what's necessary. You got to think outside the box and do what's necessary to become successful in music. And content creating. This is a decent segue. This is a great segue, actually, going from explaining everything that I do and everything that I've learned into content creating. Because everything that I've learned and everything I've acquired over the years have put me in a position now where I can content create. And there's no better time than now to content create. Because people are becoming so successful in streaming, Twitch, whether it's video games, reaction to internet stuff, or reaction to albums, reaction to music. On TikTok, just doing shorts, doing reels, just catching crazy stuff or dropping little tidbits, giving DIY stuff out there. YouTube, podcasting, it's all out there. All of these things are at a high peak right now. And if you know how to do any of that, there's no better time to get into it than now. But one of the reasons I have brought it up is because Schoolboy Q mentioned something recently, and I don't know the exact specifics of it, but he basically was alluding to the fact that a lot of these artists today are just like content creators. They're not like real artists or whatever, and just this and that. But what's wrong with being a content creator and being an artist at the same time? If the money is there to be made in content creating, why not get involved in it? T-Pain got started with streaming gaming a few years ago. And when he did an interview about it, I think it was like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, he did an interview about it. He mentioned how he makes more streaming, him playing the game, than he's made in his entire music career. What does that tell you? Podcasts are taking off. People are making money off of podcasts. People are making money off of TikTok. I'm getting money off of TikTok now, just by getting a commission from the stuff people buy from my showcase room. Now, of course, you have to get to a certain point. You have to get to a certain amount of followers. Thankfully for me, I was able to get a boost in that about 2 years ago with a couple videos jump my followers up and put me in that position. But not only do I have that, and I'm getting a commission off that, but I'm about to start getting a commission from from Twitch, and both my YouTube channels, my gaming channel and Rio West TV, is approaching the 1,000 subscriber threshold to where I'll be able to make money off of both my YouTube channels, all at the same time while I'm gaming. I'm streaming my gaming. I'm posting my content to TikTok. I'm doing my podcast now on YouTube. I got my gaming channel on YouTube that I'm posting my rebuilds and all of this stuff, tutorials on that. I got all these avenues that I got money coming in from now, on top of music. That music isn't even a real main focus for me anymore. The only reason I still do music to this day is because my people that have supported me all these years are still demanding it from me. If they weren't still demanding it from me and I had all this going on, I probably would have been stopped, honestly. So I'm all over the place. So if I'm dropping music at a slower pace, you got to forgive me. I got a lot going on. But also you can see why. Because there's money to be made in all these avenues. And if you're leaving it on the table, you're foolish. And that's a foolish statement to make, that, or foolish assessment to make, that all these artists are just content creators. All these artists is trying to get money. Because at the end of the day, hip hop or music in general has always been a workforce where you were extremely underpaid. Even the major artists, they get their money from tours. They don't get their money from their streams. They don't get their money from their sales. Their album, their labels get the money from that, but the majority of their money comes from touring. And if you're an underground artist and you're not touring and your streams aren't extremely high or anything like that, how are you getting paid? That's why a lot of artists quit doing music. Luckily for me, I am getting money from my music, but I'm also getting money from these other avenues too. And again, it would be foolish as hell to leave money on the table just because somebody feels like if you're doing music, you should only do music. That's stupid. Not in this era. Not in this era. It's too much money to be made streaming. It's too much money to be made from TikTok being an affiliate, earning commission off of selling products, other people's products. Too much money to be made on YouTube. And again, when I say it's too much money, I mean as a whole. When you have all these avenues as a whole, of course you're not going to get a ton from Twitch. Like, you get a portion for certain things. You get a portion from YouTube. You get a portion from TikTok. But if you got all of these things combined and you're making money from all of them, put two and two together. It's foolish to not be involved in all these things. So be a content creator. If you don't do it now, and even if you game heavy and you're a content creator, but you don't like to talk, you don't like to be on screen, don't. The followers, the backing I've received in Twitch from streaming, I literally just get on, I just play the game and I start streaming. I don't talk, I don't nothing. And my followers have come from just watching my gameplay. Now here, soon in the future, I'm going to probably start doing some streaming with me on the screen and everything like that. But I'm telling you, you don't have to be on the screen. You don't have to be talking to people to think you're going to get a following. And I also did my research on that too. That's the thing. I do a lot of research to figure out how ins and outs of certain things. So I figured out the specific times and when you got to stream, what games to be playing, all this. So if you're playing the right game, you're streaming at the right time, you'll get a good following and you can garner attention from that. But the more content you post, whether it's from Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, wherever, I put my stuff everywhere. The more you put out there, the more attention you're going to gain, the better opportunity you'll get to put yourself in a position to make money. So be a content creator. Don't just be an artist or whatever it is that you do. Go be a content creator. Even if you're working, you got an everyday job. I got an everyday job, but I still find time to content create. Industry plans. I'm going to be real brief in these last two topics because I'm about to have to cut this off. But I've spoken on this before, but I've seen a post here recently and it made so much sense because of some of the things that I've spoken about. But basically, to make it in the music industry today, you don't have to have talent. You don't have to be extremely skilled. You don't have to be an extremely skilled MC. That's not what it takes to make it in the music industry. Now, if what you're doing fits their agenda, if the message you're preaching fits their agenda, that's all they need. Hence the reason for an industry plan. That's why certain artists are put out there and they're pushed out there. They're pushed out there for a reason. You sit up there and you wonder, why is certain artists, even though talentless as hell and preaching the most ignorant nonsense, how are they on and how are they constantly on everything? You think these people weren't sought after and targeted? They saw that this is the image that they want to represent the culture and that they want to put in your children's mind and influence them. So they're going to take them and they're going to market them. Industry plan. That's all it is. That's all it is. The industry is not looking for talented MCs anymore. They're not. They're looking for people that fit their agenda so that they can take them and put them in the limelight, put the focus on them, and brainwash everybody. It doesn't take skill anymore. That's why a majority of the really good artists, the really good lyricists that you hear, they're underground and they don't have much attention. But luckily for us, just like I spoke of earlier in this episode, is that we are in a time and era where we don't have to rely on somebody else to get our music out there. And I think I've mentioned this, what I'm about to say, on a prior episode too. But if you go, yeah, I have mentioned it. If you go look on Spotify and look at some of the top playlists that's got millions, some billions of followers, their music is music that you wouldn't think would be up there, that all of these people are following. Because mainstream media wants you to believe that the Sexy Reds and all of the modern artists like that are what everybody wants. But that's not. In all actuality, that's not. You go look up online. You go look up on Spotify. Go look up on, I'm not sure. I don't have Apple Music. But you go look up on Spotify. And a lot of these playlists, not just Spotify, but YouTube, a lot of lo-fi, chill vibes. These genres have a huge, massive following because that's what people are listening to. But the machine and the people up top, they constantly want you to believe that these artists that they're putting out there, that's the music that everybody wants to listen to. When no, that they're planting them there because that's what they want you to listen to. That's what they want you to take in. And that way that they can manipulate your mind, your children's mind, and poison them and block them from being able to be enlightened by the artist that's leading an enlightening movement. So no, it doesn't take skill to make it in music today. Not mainstream. It doesn't take skill. If you have what they need to fit their agenda, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. And eventually, I bring that up because eventually that waters down. That fizzles out. Those artists might be hot for that moment, that year or two, and then they start to fizzle out eventually until they find the next plant that they want to take and throw out there to poison y'all's mind. NBA Finals, Celtics up 3-0. To be completely honest with you, when I heard that Porzingis was going to be out, it didn't move me. I felt like the Celtics was going to win regardless. Because they're more battle tested. Although they haven't always won, or they haven't really won, but this current version of the Celtics is battle tested. They've been through the years of battling LeBron and the Cavaliers all them years. They've been to the finals and battling it out, almost beating Golden State. They've battled it out with Jimmy Butler in the Heat for multiple years. Granted, contrary to popular belief, they might not be super battle tested this year because everybody wants to talk about the cakewalk that they had, but we're not going to disrespect them like their team isn't well put together and they got great camaraderie and coaching. I don't care if their coach, this is his second year with them or not. This is a trickle-down effect from Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens built that. And when he stepped down, he didn't step down. He took a higher position. And he put Ime Udoka in place, who was underneath his tree. Now, when that situation happened with Udoka and they got him out there, Joe Mazzulla, he comes in, he's in that same tree. So this is a system that they keep going. It's like the Spurs all them years. It's a system that just keeps going. Now, granted, Popovich never left, but every time an assistant left and got a job elsewhere, who happened to be successful elsewhere, the machine just kept going. This is the same thing right here. The machine just keeps going. So they've been through all this. They've seen all of they've been battle tested. They've been here before. So it's their time. They're ready. Whether or not they had Porzingis or not, they've been there. The Mavericks haven't been there. The only person who's been there really is Kyrie. And he can only do so much. He's done well to keep that team together and drive them and motivate them this whole time. But you can only do so much. That inexperience goes a long way. Just like I spoke on my last episode, inexperience goes a long way. Especially when you're going up against a team that's experienced. It would be different if, say, the Pacers made it, so if they so happened to beat the Celtics and they got to the finals and it was the Mavericks and Pacers, then we might see a legit good back and forth because we got two inexperienced teams that hadn't been there before. But when you have a team that's inexperienced as far as finals is concerned and being in that moment championship run versus a team that has been on multiple championship runs, well, been on a championship run but didn't complete it against Golden State, but have always been to the Eastern Conference Finals, have always went up against players like LeBron and Kyrie, Jimmy Butler and the gang, Giannis, etc. They're ready for this moment. They're hungry. And it's their time. It's just their time. So, I mean, it's good to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown finally get a ring. It's great to see them finally get, because I've been a big fan of both Tatum and Brown, even though Tatum really make it hard on you, because if he ain't the modern day PG, I don't know who is. And if you know, you know. PG has always been like all-star to me, not a superstar, all-star. Now, I'm not saying that Tatum is not a superstar, but he's very PG-like. And I say PG is an all-star to me, not a superstar, because PG is way too inconsistent. PG has too many times where he'll go off 40 points on you, and then the next game he might got 7 or 8, 9 or 10. And that inconsistency is like, you got to be consistent. An off game for you should be 20 to 22, 23 points. Not no 7 or 8, like if you're a superstar. And Tatum reminds me of that a good little bit. He might not be as bad as PG was at one point, but that's what Tatum will do. Tatum will go off, flash off, drop 50 on you. Then the next game, he might have 12. Game after that, he might have 15. Game after that, he might have 17. Then he'll flash out for 38, 40 points. Flash out again. Drop 34. Then he got 10. That's irritating to watch, especially when you're a fan of the player. But that don't make me not like the player, not make me not a fan of that player. So, no, it's really good. It's really good to see Tatum and Brown finally get their ring, especially watching their growth over the years. I still remember them when they were super young. And to finally see them get to where they at and obtain that ultimate goal after all these years of hard work. And I don't even think they finished. They're still building. Porzingis hurt right now. When Porzingis come back healthy, if they keep this core intact, they could get themselves another 1 or 2. You never know. We're going to have to see how it plays out, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I wish the finals was a little bit more competitive. I expected it to be more competitive because I was looking forward to the bout of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum versus Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. But it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. But I still appreciate seeing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown finally get their ring and achieving that ultimate goal. But that's been my spiel for this episode, you know? I ain't trying to hold y'all too long. Again, I apologize for being away for 2 weeks. I won't do it again. We're going to come back. We're going to bounce back. We'll be back next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat place. Might switch it up a little bit more too here in the future. It just depends. My scheduling, I'm still trying to get this whole thing figured out. But either way, I'm going to make sure I'm continuing to bring y'all content. So before I dip, again, make sure y'all follow me on TikTok, on Twitch. Subscribe to me on both my YouTube channels, Rio West TV and Rio West Gaming. Follow me on Twitch, Rio West Gaming on there. Follow me on TikTok, Rio West TV. Instagram, Rio West TV. X, Rio West TV. So it's been real. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Till next week. Peace.